Good afternoon. Come to my for you.
He's from Chiang Mai University. If you look, if you recall the Thai map, it's up north about what 700 kilometers.
Yes,
about
about
yeah,
700 or 1,000 maybe.
or 1,000
Professor. Yeah.
up in the north.
Yep.
North of north of Thailand is very beautiful. Chiang Mai. You
Yeah.
never been to this part of the world, right? Thailand and this around this area, to Mai.
No, sir. I've only been to Japan once,
Right.
Really.
but we were my team we had been set to fly to Phuket last year, but we
Phuket. Okay.
yes because we actually have a bit of Thai influence here in Samoa. We have a Thai boxing gym here that I'm a part
Wow.
of. So
do
we were
the Thai group went to set up that in Samoa, or you do that yourself? The Thai
no, it was
boxing.
one of our I'd say a bit of a famous Samoan Thai boxer. He came in.
I
He came
see.
about 20 years ago and set up a gym here that I joined it when I was a teenager. So
Hey, you guys must be good because you are even stronger than bigger than average Thai people.
yeah, we're a little too big.
So you'd be good at both Thai boxing and Japanese sumo.
Yeah, a bit of a mix between the two.
Dr. Phonpat will discuss with you the second half of the Geoinformatics that you've been having the other day with Dr.
Nalisa.
Dr. M. Narisara.
Nalisa.
I call her by nickname.
Yeah. Yeah.
In Thailand, we everybody has nicknames, and we always call them everyone by nicknames, and many times we forgot the real name.
Oh, that's sort of the same thing here. We did actually. We had we were fortunate enough a couple years ago to have a Thai instructor at our gym for about a month, and his name was really long. So, but he just asked us to call him Lamb.
Lamb. Thai instructor, you mean he or she went to Samoa?
Yes. He was a friend of our coach, and he came to teach us for about 3 months.
So you had quite a bit of a relationship between Thailand and Samoa already.
Yeah, I guess you could say that. I mean, Samoa. I mean, I guess you could say for import purposes, Samoa imports all of our. We import all of our rice and our flour and our sugar from Thailand.
Flowers from Thailand. What's that? Orchid?
Oh no, like baking flour.
I see that kind of flower. I don't even know that Thailand export that.
Yeah, I didn't know either until a couple of days ago when I was explaining to my wife about this online training, because she works for the customs here in Samoa.
Yeah, actually Thailand produce a lot of food, a lot of them. I think hopefully if we don't have any problems ahead of us, we are pretty good at food security.
Yeah, I think we've been importing enough rice over the years that we've actually replaced our root crop for taro for rice.
What's the main staple? What's the main staple of Samoa?
It's a starch crop called taro. Second to that is just green banana.
You raise sheep like in New Zealand?
I didn't, but I have a few classmates who did.
Ah,
I was born and raised in South Auckland, so
ah. You?
yes, sir.
Oh, South Auckland. Where's that? Where's that? I'm familiar with South Auckland. I mean, the whole Auckland.
Uh, I grew up where my mom grew up in Mangere,
Uh-huh.
between Mangere and Otara.
Oh, yeah, I know where Tara. Not far from Auckland.
Yeah, not too far, but all of my family now live in West Auckland in Henderson.
Uh-huh. So you've been living there for quite a while.
Yes, I've been living in Samoa since 2019. So I'm what you call what we call plastic Samoans. We went born
What's
and
that?
raised here.
I see. I see. Classic. Oh, there's Nathan. Nathan from Philippines.
Hi, sir. Good
Nathan?
morning.
Good morning.
Yes, sir.
Nathan.
Good morning.
How are you,
Okay,
sir?
good morning.
You see Dr. Phonpat from Chiang Mai University.
Hi.
Yeah.
Hi, sir. Nice to meet you.
Hi, nice to meet you, Nathan. Okay, good morning.
Good morning, sir.
He's gonna share with you about another part of geoinformatics. Geoinformatics is covers so much that we need 2 sessions to cover that.
Yeah.
Even 2 maybe not enough, but that's the most we can do.
Is it related, sir, to the previous session, the remote sensing?
I have to ask Dr. Phonpat.
Yeah. It's belong to in the geography department. I use them to the for the tool to application in the issue. Today is we talk about with the disaster risk management also. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, sir.
Remember last time we talked about land use, application of land use, but
Yep.
today we're gonna look at
Exactly, Professor.
yeah. Both are equally important. Now come Tulalingam Suganta from Sri Lanka.
Okay. Hi, Sugandha.
Good morning. Good morning.
Good morning,
Sugandha.
Sugandha. Nice to meet you.
Dr. Phonpat invited speaker from Chiang Mai University. He's gonna discuss with you about geoinformatics.
Yep.
And now come Aruna. Aruna is also from Sri Lanka.
Okay. Hi, Aruna.
Yes, hello. Good morning.
Good morning, Aruna. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you. Can you hear me? I have a problem.
But I think it's a good point that I will hand over the stage to Dr. Phonpat, and he'll be with you. You can, if you would like, you can introduce yourself, and they'll introduce themselves to you. So enjoy the lecture.
Okay. Thank you, Professor Chatchai.
You're
Okay.
welcome. I'll be with you and in my room.
Okay. Thank you. Okay. Nice to meet you all. Okay. Now we have the participant in full. Now, okay. Let me start to my presentation or my experience to share in today. The topic of today, I would like to present and share my experience in geoinformation for DRM. DRM is mean disaster risk management. At first, I would like to introduce myself. My name is Phonpat Hemwan. You can call me Pui. Okay. In general, people in Thailand prefer to call me Ajahn Pui. Ajahn is mean the lecturer. Okay. I came from the Space Technology and Geoinformatics Center in Northern region. I would like to introduce this center in the next slide. Okay. It belongs to Department of Geography, Faculty of Social Science, Chiang Mai University. Okay, the introduced information of this center, we had the network from GISDA. GISDA is the agency, government agency to have and to create the network in 7 university of Thailand. Chiang Mai University is one of the 7 network, and also is the same Prince of Songkran University also in the south, and Chiang Mai University in the north. You can see that in the red color of the Prince of Songkran, the blue color. Okay, another one is the Technology of Surat-Nari University. Okay, and Konkan University in the northeast, and the lower of northern Thailand handled by Naresuan University, and Mahidol and Burapha University also in the east part of Thailand. We work with the network of the knowledge and the academic service with space technology and geoinformatics. Okay, this is the outline. We have the 6 module to present in this today. Okay, at first I would like to introduction to the disaster risk management, or DRM. Okay. And the second one is the geoinformation for DRM apply in application and concept also. And the third one, I would like to share for the operation in the pre-disaster and during disaster, post-disaster, and finally I would like to share my case study for us in this today. Okay. This is the equivalent of this presentation. I applied from the ADPC, Asian Disaster Preparedness Center, and UNISDR also, International Strategy of Disaster Reduction. This is the main material to apply in this presentation as well. And this presentation applied from the online course also in Chiang Mai University. We have the collaborate from 10 universities around the world with the foundation of EU, Erasmus Plus. Everybody have you heard from Erasmus Plus from EU before? Okay. This is the collaboration, or maybe we can establish this online course. Okay, the subject is disaster management, or DIM module in GOS4S project of these projects. Okay, I would like to know your background for the RM. Okay, have you heard from the RM before? Anyone? Please share from me. Lily?
Sorry, sir, I don't think I've heard of the RM before.
Tumai. Okay. And you have the experience in the RM before, okay? Something? No?
Not really.
Not really, okay. And anyone to share? Oh, we have the new participant. Okay. Nathan, do you have the experience in the RM before? Sorry? Okay. Let me go next. Okay. Okay. For this picture, what do you think about in this picture? You can see the flooding threat the house. Tumai, are you here?
Yes, sir. Sorry, could you please repeat the question? Sorry.
Okay. Well, okay. What do you think about in this picture? Okay, some information, a little bit information for this picture, in your opinion.
I guess on the top of my head, I could say that it's a pretty severely flooded area, but the surrounding of
Yeah.
the property
Okay.
seems fortified.
Exactly. This is harmful for the flooding, no? Okay. Okay. And and do you think they are survive from this flooding? They will survive, maybe.
Uh, maybe yes.
Okay. Okay. Well, for my opinion, I think it is that they did not survive from the flooding, because they not have the prevention and mitigation before. They work in the during disaster, when disaster or when hazards occur. They will they operation in this focus on the during disaster. This is not make the, them to survive from this flooding. Okay, you can see that in this slide. Disaster affect for everyone in the world, but they impact the poor and the vulnerable the most. You can see that we have the disaster around the world. In United States, they have also. In Japan, they have also. In EU region, they have also. And in South of Asia and Southeast Asia, we have also. Okay, but they impact the poor. This is the keyword: the poor country, the poor people only. And you can see that for the lower income country, in the 9% of the world disaster affect to only low income country, make the 48% for the death of people in that area. Okay, and this means you can see that the left picture and right picture to compare. And the left, the picture or the picture show the top 10 country in the term of absolute loss. Absolute loss. You can see that United States in number 1, and China and Japan in the number 2, number 3, for the Germany, Italy, France. Okay, that have the top 10 of country have the loss from the disaster. And for the right picture, you can compare. And we focus on the average annual percentage of losses in relative to GDP. That is the effect, the impact. Absolutely. You can see that USA is gone, Japan, China is gone, but the top 10 is the lower country only. Example is Haiti, Honduras, Puerto Rico, Nicaragua, Cuba, okay, El Salvador, something like that. You can see the North Korea also. That is the lower income country. It means the lower income is the vulnerable country for the disaster also, they have effect so much. Okay. And for the high income country, they so strange for the disaster impact. You can compare this. This is the statistic show that, okay, increasing trend for the disaster. Sure, actually we have the climate change. Okay, disaster is directly related to the climate change. The impact city, you can see that we have the trend, more trend for the disaster, especially in the hydrometeorological disaster that relate to climate change. This the live picture. You can see the climate change scenario, and we have that this is make me to the more temperature 1 or 2 Celsius in next 20 years from here. Okay, I have the automation presentation in the YouTube.
This is a city like many others. Like those others, this city is vulnerable to climate change and natural disasters. In the last 30 years, floods, droughts, cyclones, earthquakes, and other natural disasters have killed an estimated 2.3 million people and caused $3.5 trillion in economic damage, leaving places like this devastated for years after a disaster occurs. It doesn't have to be this way. If our city had invested in preventative measures like early warning systems for cyclones, resilient housing, building codes, seawalls to prevent storm surge, or more resilience-minded planning, when the natural disaster struck, the damage could have been much less. Investing in climate and disaster resilience may seem like a high upfront expense, but the benefits clearly outweigh the costs. A single disaster can cost up to 3 to 6% of a developing country's GDP, wiping out years of development gains the country has worked hard to attain. This is important now, of course, but climate change is increasing the probability and severity of disasters every year, in addition to posing increasing and serious threat to our agricultural production and health of the population. Not only that, but there are many other trends that increase vulnerability. More at-risk populations, more concentrated assets, and unplanned cities. Risk increases on a daily basis. If we don't invest in resilience now, cities like this simply won't survive. We need to invest in climate and disaster resilience, not only in infrastructure but across all sectors, including transportation, energy, agriculture, education, health, gender, housing, and livelihoods. Please visit our website to learn more about how to incorporate disaster and climate resilience.
Okay, this video created from the World Bank. This is good information to describe the related from increasing disaster from the climate change. Okay, and for this picture you can see that, okay, for the first in the upper picture, the number of disaster per time from the 10 year 1998 to 2017. You can see that the flood have occurred the most at the most. And the second one in the storm, and next in the earthquake, and consequently in the extreme temperature, landslide, drought, wildfire, volcanic activity, and the mass movement or dry. Okay, you can see that in the person. And nearly 50% is the flood have occurred oftenly in the world, and the number of deaths from the disaster before, you can see that make the death of the people 56% is from earthquake, and for the make effect to the people have effect for the for the disaster, that mean flood in the 45%. And economic loss, you can see that in the last picture on the right hand. The storm is make more the economic loss, 46%, and the second one in the equal from earthquake and flood. This statistic show me to know in the disaster effect for everyone in the world. Okay, let's start to disaster is. Disaster is the serious disruption of the functioning of the community or society involving widespread of human, material, economic, or environmental loss and impact also, okay, which exceeds the ability of affected community or society to cope using its own resource. You can see the flood have effect for the people in lower country. In the right hand of me, this is a phenomena in Laos. It's maybe 2 or 3 years ago, and this is the landslide have occurred that in northern Thailand in Nans province. This is the one of the study sites of my research project also. It make the 8 people to dead in this phenomena or this disaster. Okay, the paradigm shift from to the solve of the disaster problem, from the response to the prevention, or that we call DRR, disaster risk reduction. It starts in the global platform in the 1990, the national decade of the natural disaster reduction, and to be in the 2000 onward, to become in the UNISDR unit. Okay. And for the next one, 2004, living with rich public, and we have the focus on the disaster operation with 2005 to 2015 with the HELCO framework action. Now we are working in the next 2 periods of the disaster operation, and in 2015 to 2019. Sendai framework for the disaster risk reduction in the upscaling from the response operation to the prevention operation that have effective more from the past, more from the response operation or response process. Okay, this is the detail of the Sendai framework for the disaster risk reduction that this is the framework for our country and every country in the UN member to work with the solve of disaster problem. And we have in in the Sendai framework set up the 4 priority to the operation in the global framework guideline. At the first, understanding the disaster risk, and the second, strengthening disaster risk government to the manage disaster risk. Okay, and the third one, investing in disaster risk reduction for the resilience, and for the finally enhancing disaster preparedness for the effective response. And we have the 3B that we call the build back better in the recovery process, recovery operation also, and including rehabilitation and reconstruction in build back better. Okay, for this topic, I have the animation or video from YouTube.
The Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction was adopted on 18 March 2015 at the 3rd UN World Conference on Disaster Risk Reduction in Sendai, Japan. It was endorsed 3 months later by the UN General Assembly. The Sendai Framework is a call to action over the next 15 years to make the world a safer place and to reduce the risk of man-made and natural hazards. It is designed specifically to achieve the substantial reduction of disaster risk and losses in lives, livelihoods and health. Preventing new and emerging risk and reducing existing risk is essential to any substantial reduction in disaster losses. It has 4 main priorities. Priority 1. Understanding disaster risk is about ensuring that policies and practices for disaster risk management are based on a clear understanding of vulnerability and exposure to hazards. Priority 2. Strengthening disaster risk governance means having a clear strategy, strong institutions, laws and budget to ensure the efficient management of disaster risk. Priority 3. Investing in disaster risk reduction for resilience includes public and private investment in measures which will prevent and reduce losses. Priority 4. The importance of disaster preparedness and building back better after a disaster strikes. The Sendai Framework sets out 7 targets to measure progress in achieving a substantial reduction of disaster risk. Target 1. To substantially reduce global disaster mortality by 2030. Between 2005 and 2015, over 700,000 people around the world lost their lives from disasters. Target 2. To substantially reduce the number of affected people globally by 2030. In the last 10 years, over 1.4 million people were injured and 24 million have been made homeless. Target 3. Reduce direct disaster economic loss in relation to GDP. $1 invested in resilient infrastructure can save $7 or more in response and recovery costs. Target 4. Reduce damage to infrastructure and disruption to basic infrastructure. The Sendai Framework also sets targets for increasing the number of countries with disaster risk reduction strategies, increasing international cooperation to developing countries, and substantially increasing public access to early warning systems. The Sendai Framework is a critical part of the post-2015 development agenda. It supports the 17 Sustainable Development Goals and the Climate Change Agreement. Everyone has a stake in disaster risk reduction. Each state has the primary responsibility, but all citizens need to be engaged and risk-informed. Together, we can all make a difference.
Created by the UNISDR, okay, which the main organization in the in the global platform to create and make the guideline to the solve of disaster problem in the world now and now also. And this one we have the global platform to the drive the Sendai framework. They set up in every 2 years. The last platform set up in the 2019, maybe at Geneva also. Okay, this is a global platform work in the work program. They have planned to drive the strategy of disaster reduction in every country of the UN member. Okay, you can see that. For this information, we have another presentation, another video from the YouTube you can create for you also.
The Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction was the first post-2015 framework approved by member states. It has 7 key targets to substantially reduce disaster risk and losses by 2030. The Sendai Framework was followed by the 2030 Development Agenda, which identified 17 Sustainable Development Goals, or SDGs, to eradicate poverty and achieve sustainable development in the next 15 years. Disaster risk reduction is essential to achieve these goals. Target 1 is to reduce global disaster mortality, and Target 2 to reduce the number of affected people. These targets embrace all SDGs for a universally safer world. Target 3 is to reduce direct economic losses in relation to global GDP, along with all the SDGs. This aims at ending poverty and promoting sustainable economic growth and decent work for all. Sendai Target 4 is to reduce disaster damage to critical infrastructure and disruption of basic services. This intends to increase everyone's health and well-being, access to education, resilient infrastructure, and to make human settlements sustainable and safe. Target 5 is to increase the number of countries with national and local disaster risk reduction strategies by 2020. Making habitats safer internationally will assist in ending poverty and hunger. Target 6 is to enhance international cooperation to developing countries, covering all SDGs. This is key to the betterment of everyone, wherever we live. Target 7 is to increase access to multi-hazard early warning systems and disaster risk information. It combats climate change and its impacts as disaster risks rise. If these targets are achieved, the Sendai Framework will help make the Sustainable Development Goals a reality.
Okay, this information to show how we link from the Sendai Framework to the Sustainable Development Goal or SDG goal in mainstream work in now. Okay, and next platform we have the Global Facility of Disaster Reduction and Recovery. They set up in the places, okay, that we call GFDRR. Okay, is a global partnership that help developing countries to better understand and reduce their vulnerability in natural hazard and adapt to climate change. And that you can see from the statistic before that I mentioned. You can see the climate change directly impact to the disaster, make it increasing trend of the disaster in the world now. Okay, GFDRR working with the over 400 local and national and regional and international partners in the world, managed by the World Bank GFDRR is supported by 33 countries and 11 international organizations. They have the full paper or publication you can download in following this link. The decade, they have the presentation present the decade of the progress on disaster risk management also. Okay.
2 billion people, that's how many have been affected by natural disasters in the past decade. Climate change has increased the frequency and intensity of disasters, but the past decade has also seen remarkable progress in our ability to prepare for and respond to natural hazards. When the Indian Ocean tsunami struck, the scale of that tragedy changed the thinking around disasters. It highlighted the importance of managing disaster risk even before calamity strikes by increasing our understanding of disaster risk and reducing our exposure to this risk. Only a year after the tsunami, the Hyogo Framework for Action was adopted. It was the precursor to the 2015 Sendai Framework for Disaster Risk Reduction, an international agreement that embedded disaster risk management in efforts to achieve the United Nations Sustainable Development Goals. The Indian Ocean tsunami also highlighted the need for countries across the globe to work more closely together. Amid complex and ever-changing disaster risk, the Global Facility for Disaster Reduction and Recovery was born in 2006. The global partnership helps developing countries better understand and reduce their vulnerability to natural hazards and climate change. Not long after, GFDRR brought the World Bank, the United Nations, and the European Union together to streamline efforts for post-crisis assessments and recovery planning. GFDRR has mobilized financial and technical assistance to scale up disaster risk management efforts, protecting lives in every corner of the globe. In fiscal year 2019 alone, GFDRR leveraged over $8 billion in additional financing for disaster risk management. These investments and GFDRR's analytical work are pushing disaster risk management to the forefront of the global development agenda, integrating it into a range of development sectors, from social protection to infrastructure. GFDRR is also leading efforts to tackle the social and gender dimensions of disaster risk management, helping ensure that no one is left behind when disaster strikes. Innovation has further changed the way we understand and deal with risk. The response to the 2010 earthquake in Haiti cast the spotlight on the importance of new, inventive approaches. For example, volunteers used crowdsourcing to produce the first free, open, and accurate map of Port-au-Prince, supporting its recovery. The Understanding Risk Forum, first held in 2010, and the Open Data for Resilience initiative, started a year later, remain on the front lines of the global effort to share, collect, and use data for resilience. Technological advances have also led to great improvements in weather forecasting systems. Since 2015, the Climate Risk and Early Warning Systems Initiative has mobilized support for early warning systems in disaster-vulnerable countries. The last decade has also seen the rise of innovative financial strategies that are helping countries meet the staggering costs of disasters. The Global Risk Financing Facility, launched in 2018, ensures that countries have the resources they need to act fast and get back on their feet when disaster strikes. The integration of disaster risk management in the global development agenda. The rise of partnerships like GFDRR. The emergence of innovative technologies and approaches. While there is much work to be done, the progress of the past decade has moved us closer to a safer, more resilient world. In over 140 countries, GFDRR has helped shape part of that. Our work to bring resilience to scale continues.
Okay, from the information you can understand that disaster risk management is the important thing to solve the disaster problem in now. Okay, and for the disaster concept, you can see that disaster is a combine from the hazard and vulnerability, and is made to the impact from the disaster. When we have the hazard only, they do not make the impact of the people of the country, and if they plus or combine vulnerability, the hazard that to become from the hazard to the disaster. Okay, disaster, they have the two types. We can classify of the two types. The one group of type, the natural disaster, as you know, this is the flood, landslide, forest fire, or wildfire, drought, earthquake, volcanic eruption. This is an example of a natural disaster. And okay, and the next one, non-natural disaster. This is a man-made disaster, erosion, collision, shipwreck, okay, structure collapse, and war, and environmental pollution. This is the man-made disaster from the human activity. Okay, this is the keyword of this knowledge now, that we have to and necessarily to understand. Okay, disaster risk, and we have the three components of disaster risk: hazard, vulnerability, and exposure. Is combined to be in the disaster risk. Okay, hazard is the potential of a natural or human cause event to occur with negative consequence. Okay, and vulnerability is the extent to the community structure and service or environment is likely to be damaged and disrupted by the impact of the hazard. Vulnerability, including every context of the society of in the country also, and just as the poor, or maybe poverty, low income, and low education, including make more, we have the vulnerability for the disaster problem. Okay, exposure is the people and poverty and system and location. Also, there is an element present in the hazard zone that are thereby subject to the potential loss. Okay. Okay, this is the important thing next of the disaster cycle. This is necessary to know or to understand of the cycle of disaster. We separate in three periods, and the pre-disaster, and during disaster, and pro-disaster. If we have the disaster event, disaster occur, this here, and the response process to work for the disaster problem, and another, and then we, after the disaster occur, we use the recovery process. And for that we do not have, or maybe a disaster is gone, we should be set up the mitigation or preparation process for the soap in disaster cycle. Okay, the prevention and mitigation as the process in the first of the disaster cycle. Okay. This is the work in the when we do not have the disaster occur, and we work the before and for the prevention preparedness for the disaster, and if we have the disasters occur, and we should work in the response process. Okay, and recovery process if we have after the disaster occur. Okay, after the immediately danger of a disaster has passed, individual should continue to exercise caution in their home or community to stay safe during in the clean up and maybe recovery, restructure, rehabilitation also process in work in this recovery period. Okay, for the DRM we separate in the two concepts, main two concepts, and then we work before the disaster occur, that we call the DRR, disaster risk reduction. The operation is the prevention and mitigation and preparedness. Okay, and then we have the disaster occur. The operation is we call the disaster management period, and we have the two main operation, that is the response and recovery process in the group. If we have the disaster occurred, that we call it disaster management. So for the DRM, disaster risk management, this is the heart of the solution disaster problem in now, in the present. We separate in the DRR, disaster risk reduction, and disaster management, or DM. Okay. Okay, now you can see that. Okay, this the left DRR, we have the mitigation process and preparedness process, and mitigation process such as hazard assessment, environment at risk, and vulnerability assessment, type of method of risk assessment, risk evaluation, and intensity of hazards. Okay. Preparedness, such as the process of the forecasting, early warning system, and predicting. Okay. Okay. And the next one, for the disaster management, we have the response process and recovery process. Okay. Okay. DIM is the systematic process of using administrative, directive, organization, and operation skill and capacity to the implement strategy, policy, and improve coping capacity in order to lessen and adverse impact of the hazard and the possibility of disaster. Okay, this is the heart and important thing for the disaster solution at the present. And for this content, I have the presentation in the YouTube. Would like to share to you.
Meet Mia. Mia works as a small hotel owner, renting rooms to people who visit her town, known for its beautiful nature and fresh produce. However, life there is not always easy, as her home is prone to hurricanes and flooding. These natural hazards can greatly damage people's houses, businesses, and resources, and can even push them into a poverty trap. But it doesn't have to be like this. As the frequency and intensity of natural hazards continue to increase, more and more experiences have been made on how to increase resilience to these events with the help of insurance and other risk transfer instruments. To better protect Mia against possible natural hazards, there are 5 steps. 1. Risk prevention. 2. Addressing of residual risk. 3. Preparing. 4. Responding. And 5. Recovering. These steps are all part of a disaster risk management approach that integrates risk transfer solutions. 1. Prevention. The first thing that should be done to help prevent serious damage is a risk analysis, which identifies the hazards in a specific area and analyzes how exposed the people, businesses, agricultural fields, and infrastructure are. This analysis will reveal what can be done to prevent damage and feed into the risk transfer instruments and early warning systems in the next phases. In this area of prevention, Mia can strengthen her hotel and home with stronger materials to make them more resistant to wind. Her community can work together to plant trees, build a wall to protect farmland and infrastructure from heavy rain, or clean drainage systems to prevent flooding. The government can implement and enforce land use restrictions to ensure that people don't build in flood-prone areas. 2. Addressing residual risk. However, even if you put all preventive measures in place, some residual risk still remains. This is where ex-ante financing, that is, financing before a hazard strikes, can help. As an individual, Mia can take out a microinsurance policy in case her hotel is damaged. Weather index insurance could be a good option for the farmers in Mia's community, which will pay out when there has been too much or too little rain throughout the year. If Mia and her community do not manage these risks ex ante but ex post, that is, after a hazard strikes, then they will be forced to rely on friends and families, savings, or additional borrowings. The government can also protect their citizens with pre-disaster financing using contingent debt facilities, which ensure that funding will be available immediately after a hazard hits and by taking out their own insurance. This money can then be used to provide emergency relief to the people or support reconstruction. If governments plan how to manage the financial consequences of a natural hazard, they will not need to manage ad hoc and rely on donor assistance, additional taxes, budget shifts, or taking out credit from external actors. Implementing different prevention measures will greatly help in reducing the cost of these types of insurance and financial instruments because they significantly reduce the overall risk exposure. 3. Preparing. After Mia and her community protect themselves with ex-ante financing, they need to prepare themselves for the natural hazards. They can do this by stockpiling food and water in case of an emergency and making sure that they have a safe place to go should a flood or hurricane come their way. The government can also train individuals in rescue and emergency services, establish early warning systems, and come up with a contingency plan to ensure that everyone knows what to do. Adaptation investments, that is, investments made to help countries adapt to climate change, microcredit, and increasing savings, could also be good options for the government to better prepare. 4. Responding. When a natural hazard hits, Mia, her community, and the government enter the response phase. It is essential to respond quickly to avoid further loss of human life or material damage. They can do this by helping with the search and rescue effort, providing temporary shelter and food, and quickly repairing the most needed infrastructure. The ex-ante financing will play a big role in making this quick response possible. It may also be necessary to acquire some ex-post financing by increasing taxes, reallocating national budgets, or taking out credit. Without this financing, it can be very difficult for people and the government to get back on their feet. 5. Recovering. Now that Mia has responded to the first impacts of the disaster, she can start the recovery process. The good news is that with the right assistance, her savings, and possible payouts from her insurance, she can start to build back better. This can be done by examining the affected areas and repairing things in a smarter way that prevents these damages from happening again. All these steps are linked to each other and are most effective when countries and their governments, communities, and individuals work together. When everyone knows what should be done to prepare for a natural hazard, the consequences will be much less severe. Thanks to this disaster risk management approach and integrated risk transfer solutions, like insurance, Mia and her community will be more resilient and can make sure that these natural hazards never turn into disasters.
Okay, this is information to describe the integrated approach to disaster risk management that we have done. Okay, this is present the component or element of the disaster risk management to work. Disaster resilience. Resilience is the key word of the answer of the answer for the disaster solution with the DRM approach. The disaster resilience is mean the community resilience is about transforming disaster planning and response from just me to the include we. Okay, it is the capacity in every level of the society of the country also. Okay, that it means that it should have been done for the solve disaster problem. Okay, the disaster resilience is the goal of the disaster management operation. Okay, this is the dimension of the policy and legal arrangement and institute framework for the DRM strategy, and we should be start in the process with the hazard identify and situation of hazards, and the next one we should set up the hazard assessment and vulnerability assessment, and the next one we combine the hazard and vulnerability with the risk data by the risk assessment process, and for the next one we should set up the action plan for the DRM solution. And this is mean the risk management through integrated DRR measure with the development plan of our country. And the last one, that is the monitoring and assessment process. Okay, and for this context of disaster risk management, and the last one I would like to share the presentation.
Building capacity for disaster risk management. Around the world, governments, international organizations, NGOs, and civil society groups are working hard to build disaster risk management capacity at all levels. But to do this successfully, it's vital they have a good understanding of what works and why. Too often, current approaches are small-scale and poorly coordinated within countries and across regions. But a 2-year research project by the International Federation of Red Cross and Red Crescent Societies found that programs aiming to strengthen DRM capacity can improve their effectiveness in 6 key ways. Number 1. Focus on holistic disaster risk reduction. The first of these is holistic disaster risk reduction. We need to move beyond strengthening short-term emergency management and instead focus capacity-building interventions on strengthening longer-term prevention, mitigation and recovery. This includes building capacity to consider how risks may change over time, how underlying causes of vulnerability could be reduced, and how different groups may be vulnerable to disasters in different ways. Number 2. Strengthen functional capacity. The strengthening of functional capacity is key. That means doing more than just building technical skills and providing vital equipment. Instead, we need to improve people's ability to take effective decisions and action in relation to DRM. This might include clarifying decision-making processes, policies and planning, improving coordination and creating an enabling environment for DRM before disaster strikes. Number 3. Work across organizations, sectors and levels. Effective DRM requires the ability to work across different organizations, sectors and levels of government, and so we need to give greater consideration to developing skills for integration and collaboration. Building capacity for mainstreaming DRM can be highly effective in bringing about valuable long-term change. It's also important to build DRM capacities at all levels, from national government to communities, including regional and local government levels, which can often be overlooked. Number 4. Carefully plan and design programs for lasting impact. Capacity building programs need to be designed carefully, giving particular thought to how we can sustain all that's been achieved once a program has come to an end. Too often, programs are squeezed into timelines too short to secure their lasting impact. Ensuring that programs have robust monitoring and evaluation systems that focus on outcomes and impact is also important. Number 5. Pay attention to the context. It is important to pay attention to the local context when planning capacity building activities, so that they are relevant and based on a good understanding of local capacity needs. All programs should be based on thorough capacity needs assessments, but be sure to do them early enough that they can shape the program's design. Number 6. Foster ownership. And finally, ensure that those being targeted for capacity building have a clear and significant role in designing and implementing the program. Ownership is built through participation, engaging leaders and winning high-level support, as well as aligning with existing DRM strategies and policies. By carefully implementing these 6 key principles, together we can improve the effectiveness of our efforts to build DRM capacity and increase the resilience of vulnerable communities around the world.
Okay, from the presentation, it make me more understand the DIM concept or DIM strategy to capacity the society, people, organization, governance, also to disaster solution in every country, in our country also. Okay, from the DRM concepts and introduction to DRM. Okay, from your opinion, what do you think about DRM and in this your country? I would like to share for the information. And just we start from Nathan or maybe. Okay, Athan.
Yes, sir. Hello.
Okay, from you from Philippines, maybe.
Yes.
Okay, for the DRM and disaster event in your country, you have so much maybe from the typhoon or maybe. Um,
Yes, sir. Oh, we have a government agency responsible for risk reduction, and I'm not quite familiar with their protocols, but yeah, I think it's the same as the framework you showed us. Like the preparation, then the response, mitigation.
yeah.
Because yeah, here in the Philippines, we're prone to typhoons and flooding. So yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. And anyone would like to share in your information from in your country, maybe.
Yes, I'm Aruna from Sri Lanka.
Aruna, yeah, from Sri Lanka. Okay, Aruna.
Yes, before the Indian Ocean tsunami, we had several departments for this disaster. Like for the flood, we have irrigation department, and the landslide, we have PRO. Like that, still also we have several departments. But after the Indian Ocean tsunami, we established a new center called Disaster Management Center. And also we introduced some Parliament Act, also Disaster Management Act. And like that, we have a lot of works done on that after the Indian Ocean tsunami. And main works done by the Disaster Management Center. But when we are talking about flood disaster or landslide, as a technical department in irrigation department, so we are giving technical advice and we are warning people, and likewise we are doing that part. But other recovery things and other part done by the disaster management center. So the early warning and the other things are done by the irrigation department for the flood, and landslide early warning and the other things done by the NBRO, that is the other bureau. So like that, there are several departments in the country for this disaster mitigation.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay. Yep. Thank you. I think is the disaster situation or solution in Sri Lanka and Thai in the same situation. Also, we have the department, the principal department of the government to manage and to operation in this in disaster problem. And in Thai, I would like to share in that department they focus on the response and recovery process. And now we have learned and we know and we understanding for the DRM process or DRM concept from the UN platform, and we would like to focus on the pre-disaster period. That means in the preventing and mitigation and preparedness. We should be done in this the main process of the disaster solution. Are you in the same? Okay. For you, Tomai from Samoa. Okay. In your country, do you have any disaster occur?
Good evening, sir. Yes.
Yep.
Quite recently, I mean, I think our worst one within the last 20 years was 2009. We experienced a pretty severe tsunami on the southern side of.
Oh yeah, tsunami. Okay.
Yep. And from there became the creation of what we call the National Emergency Operations Center. So it's a joint ministry in times of state of emergency where we also bring in, we collaborate with the Ministry of Natural Resources where I work, the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Works, Ministry of Finance, and other ministries as well. A lot. The most recent, we're actually still in a state of emergency where the NEOC is actually technically in charge of the government due to COVID. So, despite having our own government for for politics, we actually we are working under the national emergency.
Okay, the tsunami event of the disaster, it should be focused on the early warning, and
Yes,
evacuation.
we do have our early warning systems, especially for
Yeah, because they make the emergency period from the disaster.
Yeah.
Okay, just like a landslide also, and flash flooding or something like that. Okay. Yeah. Thank you, Samuel.
Thank you.
Okay, and the next one, Sukanta, from your country, you have the experience in disaster or DIM also?
Yes,
Okay.
I am also from Sri Lanka. Already Arun said that disaster management centers there. Other than when disaster happen, we have 3 forces there: Army, Navy, and Air Forces also there. They will come and involve that recovery things.
Yep.
Now also COVID-19 also disaster.
Yeah.
Now government using that Army, Navy, and Air Force using regulations and other things for COVID-19.
Okay, thank you. It's just focus on the recovery process, no, or response. Okay, and the last one, we have the new participant, maybe that I call Sawana. Okay, Mr. Sawana. Okay, where are you from? Sorry.
I'm from Cambodia. It's your
Oh,
country.
okay, it's a neighborhood of Thailand. Okay.
I'm from Cambodia.
Okay, and in your country, do you have the disaster event? And
Okay, I can tell you about the disaster in Cambodia. We had the main. I can tell you about the main natural disaster.
Yep.
We have 3. The main natural disaster is flood, drought,
same time,
storm, storm. Yeah, and for the flood and drought and storm also, that each one is related to the climate, to the climate change.
Yep.
And climate information, you need to inform the local people, to the village.
Yeah.
And my department responsible for the flood forecasting, weather forecasting. That this one. And all when we talking about the disaster risk management, when we have 2 measurement. The first is a non-structural natural measure. That non-structural measure means that we talking about the flood forecasting information to the people, to the local people. We can capacity building and human resource that related to the main natural disaster. That is one. And for the structural measure, we thinking about the structure, the dam, how to reduce the flood, the dam, how to respond, apply the water at the drought. And storm, we don't have any structural to prevent or to protect the storm. The storm is difficult to protect and to manage, because we can forecast on the storm. and we can inform and release information, early information to the local people and to the villager.
Yep.
That is one, and for the storm, it is very important for the capacity building and human resource to know how the storm is when it coming, and that is one. And only talking about the main or natural resource and management of in our Cambodia. I think it is the natural disaster in Cambodia. I think the same in Thailand. I think so. That is one is in my opinion.
Yes, thank you so much for your information. Yes, I agree with you. I agree with all for the disaster solution. We should be focused on the disaster litigation and disaster management also. Okay, and for the effective way of the disaster solution, we should be set up the disaster risk management approach in your country also. That is the have proposed in the Sendai framework from the UNDRR. Okay, thank you for you all and for the attention. Technology of geoinformation 3S. Okay. Now we have the several and so much data from the space technology and from the satellite, and you can see that this is a observation satellite in the world handled by the USA, Japan, South Korea, India, China, France, and Russia. And Thailand, we have one that we call the TRIOS. Okay, we call the TRIOS satellite. Is the observation satellite, and that satellite they have the several the orbit also, and geostationary orbit, near polar orbit, and large range 0.1 poly orbit. Okay, and the organization that you well known is the NASA, NOAA, or JAXA from Japan, NASA from USA. Okay, and Thai we have the organization that we call the GISDA, is the main network of that we work in satellite and geoinformatics information in Thailand, and they provide the geo-intelligence, animation map, smart dynamic dashboard, and the digital platform for the solve any problem in Thailand that include the disaster problem also. Okay, from those technology that now we have the geospatial big data also, because we have the more than 200 public data sets, more than 5 million image, more than 4,000 new image in every day, more than 5 petabyte of the data in the archive, and this is so big and so large of the data from the satellite data, from the geoinformatics data, that is the from the Landsat handled by the NASA, and the MODIS also, and the terrain data and DEM digital elevation model around the world, and land cover and atmospheric data from the atmospheric satellite handled by the NOAA, handled by the JMA from the Japan also. This is an example of the data that in the data catalog from the Google Earth engine. We can manage, we can process in that data in with the that we call the data analytic by the programming simple programming also. That is, this is the Aster L1T, and this is the DRM or DEM, digital iteration model at the Australia. Okay, this is covering in a whole area in the world, covering in Thailand, Cambodia, Sri Lanka, Samoa also. Okay, we can collect data from this platform, and it from the satellite. The name is Sentinel. Sentinel is from the EU satellite platform handled by the ESA, European Space Agency. Okay, and the Sentinel 2B, Sentinel 5P to detect and monitoring of the air pollution, such as this is, you can see that 5P, Sentinel 5P for aerosol index. Okay, Sentinel 5P for cloud. Okay, this is example that we processing that data, geospatial that data. We can use the Google Earth Engine platform on the internet, in your computer, connect in the internet. You can access to the Google Earth Engine platform, and you can process things by programming, coding. Okay, this is the example that I processing of the aerosols covering in Thai and Cambodia, in Southeast Asia and Burma also. Okay, and for this processing I imported to the mapping, and you can see that the dynamic concentration of aerosol or PM 2.5 in Thailand covering. Okay, you can see that this is a December, January, February, and March, April, May. Okay, we in Thailand, in northern Thailand and northern Laos, we have so much of the concentration, over concentration of PM 2.5 in the March and April. And for the January, we have the start of concentration in the center of Thailand. Okay, actually we just started from the December, and you can see that this is the PM 2.5 situation from the satellite data. Okay, that actually the satellite data, they can detect and collect the image, the real image. You can see that. Okay, this is we do not have the aerosol or PM 2.5 is so clear at Thailand. Okay, and this day we have more the concentration of PM 2.5. Okay, this is you can gray color okay, cover in north and central of Thailand. That is the aerosol. Okay, and the same day, the last one you can see covering in the north of Thailand and the north of Laos and the north of Burma also. Okay, and for my specialist, I would like to extract and detect the smoke that we call the aerosol from PM 2.5 to be with the scale of concentration. This is a Thai scale, and this is the USA scale or maybe global scale. You can see that is the blue one is so clear of the PM 2.5 that is covering in Cambodia, Vietnam, and southeast part of Thailand. And we have the higher of concentration is covering in northern part of Thailand. You can see that in the red one, the red color covering in the north. Okay, this is the geoinformatics techniques to convert from the image, from the data aerosol PM 2.5 into the concentration index from the air pollution. Okay, why geoinformation to be managed disaster risk? Because it's a right information that I mentioned for you, is the real information from the satellite, from the UAV, okay, from the technology, information technology, and the right time. We have the every data detect in every day and at the present and every day in the past from 20 years in the past and right place, okay, and that we focus on in Thailand. Okay, the satellite data, they have collect data from Thailand, from Samoa, from everywhere in the world. Sorry. And bringing together our complex data and knowledge, okay, this is the advantage of the geoinformation. And the better decision and informed action also. Okay, this is the advantage of geoinformation and many service and many community. We can operate in the cloud processing that I show you before from the Google Earth Engine platform, and we can process and we can deliver by the map in the website, in the web application. I will show you in my project. I create 2 or 3 platforms for the information to the disaster problem also. Okay, this is GI for the geoinformation for the disaster risk management. This is a common challenge because we use the disaster cycle to be established the work with geoinformation, and we separate in the 3 periods: pre-disaster, during disaster, and post-disaster. Pre-disaster period, we have the processing in the mitigation and preparedness process, and for the during disaster, it means the response process, and the last one in the post-disaster, it means the recovery process, that is rehabilitation, including reconstruction. Okay, for the this issue, I have some presentation in the YouTube for the make more understand for you. Okay, sorry.
At ITC, the Faculty of Geoinformation, Science and Earth Observation of the University of Twente, we work together with governments, NGOs and private organisations to enable countries to deal with mankind's complex challenges. But what does this mean? With state-of-the-art technologies, we collect, analyse and use complex spatial data to help countries in dealing with national and global challenges. One of these challenges is disasters like earthquakes, floods, landslides and fires. We use Earth observation sensors to obtain spatial data of the Earth's surface. From this, we generate 3D landscape and city models that support applications like flood management, landslide monitoring and deforestation and forest fire recovery. We use drones to remotely reconstruct reality in 3D after a disaster. For example, after an earthquake, we remotely assess damage and potential dangers without physically entering dangerous or inaccessible areas. This helps experts to make important decisions for further actions and keeps first responders and officials out of harm's way. From image-based point clouds, we reconstruct complete 3D building models for emergency applications. This means that in case of a fire, gas leak, hostage situation or other hazards, emergency responses can act with the knowledge of real-time on-site information. Via education and by transferring and exchanging our knowledge, we provide countries with the ability and capacity to take on these complex challenges in an optimum manner and make planet Earth a better and safer place for everyone.
Okay, is for the presentation make more to understand the geoinformation for managing disaster risk. Okay, it is the flood management, landslide, deforestation, and forest fire recovery and forest fire monitoring. For the forest fire, I have the research project now to monitoring and create a study and development of the AI software for the detection the fire forest in the north area of Thailand, because that is the main cause of the PM 2.5 problem in Thailand also, in the forest fire. We use the UAV to monitoring. I will show you later and share you later also. Okay, this is they can apply the satellite data. Copernicus is mean the platform or agency with use the satellite data from the EU, from the ESA, European Space Agency. Okay, Copernicus Emergency Management Service, they can provide the data. I will show you that. Okay. Okay, this is an example. You can access by the URL on the internet. Okay, okay. Copernicus support disaster management across the globe. They create the platform, and okay, this is the mapping for the risk and recovery mapping in Bossage urban sport up. Okay, this is the urban extension. Maybe okay, urban sport up from the somewhere in the world. Okay, and rapid mapping, they can create the platform on the internet. This is the Myanmar or Burma and Bangladesh with the Rohingya crisis. They can create platform with link with the location of the map, and you can tie and key the data from the issue that involve Rohingya crisis. This is covering area near the Bangladesh and the west of Myanmar. The information is useful for the manage and useful for the display the problem Rohingya crisis in the region, Rohingya region. Okay, and the early warning monitoring system for the forest fire, and Copernicus or ESA can create the data. They extract the data from the satellite data with the Sentinel-2 created. The same, I have some research project to monitoring the forest fire also. Okay, I will share for you later. Okay, and they create the map for drought. This is for the drought in the Europe region. Okay, they use the use the satellite data with process with the geoinformatics techniques. Okay, create the map of the drought. In Thailand we have also. Okay. Okay, and for the geoinformation to manage disaster risk, we separate in the disaster risk reduction or DRR plus with disaster management or DM that include the response and recovery process. And for the main process, for the main concept, two main concepts is combined to be disaster risk management. Just the same meaning, the same introduction information that I mentioned before. Okay, for the pre-disaster disaster risk map, pre-disaster, for the GI we can support the data and support the processing to be create the disaster mapping, vulnerability and risk assessment, early warning and monitoring, and risk model. Okay, and you can see that this we combine the hazard map and vulnerability map. Okay, hazard map, this is the possible of hazard to occur in anywhere. This is in Phra province, the north of Thailand. This show that the flood hazard area, and we can calculate with the vulnerability area. Vulnerability represented by maybe represented by the location of community that have effect. You can see that. Okay, the pink, the purple one. The purple is located of the community settlement, and plus of the possibility of the hazard of the flood occur, and the result is the red is the flood disaster area. Okay, and the dark color is not risk. Okay, the red is the area should be focused on the monitoring, focused on the preparedness to the flood disaster in that area. Okay, is this right? Okay, okay, that doesn't mean in the right place in the right time also, the right information. Okay. Okay, this map show the overall vulnerability of investigate community. Okay, in the in the Europe, maybe you can see that. Okay, and the nuclear apply for the nuclear issue in USA. You can see that the nuclear location of the nuclear, location of the seismic from the earthquake. Okay, and location of the earthquake point, the center point of the earthquake, and the last one in the seismic hazard zone. Okay, you can see that seismic hazard zone in have so much in the west of USA, and for the nuclear location have so much in the east of USA. Okay, this is you can monitoring and early warning from the seismic with the for the nuclear issue. This model we can process for analyze นะครับ for analyze the flood, okay, flood issue in the area. Okay, you can calculate the level of the flood and affect area in the same time also. Okay, this is the hazard map, and when we combine the location of community settlement, combine of the urban area, you can have the output in the list map from the flood disaster. Okay, concept of list. This is concept of disaster list, hazards, exposure, and vulnerability. And we can create the disaster list map also. Okay. The detail following by the BIM concept. Hazard map, okay, that I before. Okay, when we using hazard map, we concern about the spatial data planning, risk reduction measure, raising awareness among the population, instrument used in emergency planning. Okay, the hazard map just to create support of this process, the all process also. Okay, this is the procedure creating hazard map, and you can create the forecasting a range of disaster, collecting the disaster related information, publishing the map by the distributing directly to the people. Okay, this is a vulnerability map, and the purple color it represent the community location. Okay. Benefit of vulnerability map: decision making and spatial planning. And when we combine the vulnerability map to hazard map, that the result is the disaster risk map, and you can see that. Okay, this is we calculate, we process the landslide risk map in the north of Thailand. The dark red, that means the more risk of the landslide, and the orange color is mean the middle risk of landslide in northern Thailand. Okay. When we combine the hazard map and flood map, the output is a risk map, risk area. Okay. The red color is a high, more rich area that should be focused on the monitoring, the preparedness, the prevention of the flood. Okay, this I would like to skip in hurry because we have the limited time for this learning. Okay. Okay. The important thing hazards, and create the hazard map, and exposure and vulnerability on DIM concept, on DIM approach, we process in the vulnerability map. Okay. Hazard and vulnerability map plus or combine to be in the risk map. Okay. This is the important thing of the GI support to managing disaster risk. Okay, this is advantage of GI and create data layer. Okay, for the disaster risk map, I would like to share for my research. Okay, I skip. Sorry. For the flooding in northern Thailand, this is you can see a flood in the accumulation of the overflow of an expanse of water that cover in that area. Okay, sorry. And the type of flooding, you can see that this is have so much in Thailand, leveling flooding, and in the south of Thailand they maybe have the coastal flooding so much. In the north we do not have, and we have leveling flooding and flat flooding. Just in the same time, we have the landslide also. Urban flooding in the south central part of Thailand have so much. Okay. The cause of flooding, as you know, and heavy rainfall, poor land use practice, urbanization, deforestation, improper waste disposal. Okay, and the prolonged rainfall, so that is the cause of the flooding in Southeast Asia and in Thailand also. Vulnerability to flooding is physical, social, economic, and environmental. For the all dimension make we have the more vulnerability, and that we have more impact from the flooding also. Okay, this is for my research project. My research project in Nan, we can create the flood area based DRM project for the monitoring and early warning pre-disaster. Okay, this is Nan province. We have the Nan basin also in the upstream of the Chao Phraya river in the lowland in the center of Thailand. Okay, Nan River, we have every year for the flooding from Nan River, covering in Nan province, make more the loss, make more the loss from the people in Nan area. Okay. We can calculate and we can process and we can analyze the water from the north to the south of Nan, and we monitoring, set up the data for the monitoring. The focus area, that is the Vieng Sa, in the south of Nan River. We have effect from the flood, effect so much from the flood from Nan River. Okay, this is a Vieng Sa district is here, and this is a Mueang Nan, and the up is Tha Vang Pha. Okay, and we can set up the monitoring to the monitoring of the rainfall, and for the information provide that area to preparedness in near or closely disaster occur. Okay. And when we have the rainfall so much, you can see that, and maybe have the flooding from riverine, non-riverine flooding in same this situation. Okay, this is the platform that we are create to support in this project. Okay, I will show you that. Okay, the okay, the platform you can see is a mapping platform. You can select this is a Nan province in the north of Thailand. Yes, here we are. Okay, this is Cambodia, maybe. Okay, this is Sri Lanka. Okay, where is the Samoa? Okay, I cannot find in the Samoa of the this map. Okay. Okay, this is a Nan province. You can see that the upstream of the Chao Phraya River. Chao Phraya River in the main river in the Thailand. The Nan River make more the impact from the flood. This is a flooding situation. You can see that. Okay. The blue one is the flood level covered in Vieng Sa district. That is the focus area or study size of our project. Okay, we can create the location of the community and the flood level, that is mean the hazard map, and for the location of community, that mean the vulnerability map, and we combine the hazard map and vulnerability map into be the list map in Nan river. Okay, you can see that. And for the monitoring, we can link the data from the government agency or department also. We can link the data from meteorological department in Thailand. You can see now in situation of the cyclone, or maybe you can see that. Okay, maybe it's today, the data from today. You can see we have the depression way. Okay, you can see that. Make more, we have the rainfall, and in northern Thailand, not focus in Nan province, they do not have the heavy rainfall now. Okay, and the first one for the satellite data. Okay, we can monitoring in every day and every hour also on the day. Is 16 September and 15 September in 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock. Okay, this is for the 10 o'clock of the today, and you can see the information. This is the rainfall, accumulation of the rainfall covered in Thailand. Nan province is here. They do not have the heavy rainfall, and for this is useful for the monitoring of the flood. riverine in river in Nan River. Okay, and we have the radar also. Okay, and another one we have the real time of satellite image. You can see that this mean the red, dark red, and the orange is mean we have the heavy rainfall cover that area from the cloud. Okay, this is created from the meteorological satellite from the Himawari 8 of the JAXA or the Japan. Okay, you can see. Okay, this is the real-time data from the satellite data, and you can see that we have maybe storm in the south of Japan also, and for the Philippines maybe you have some rainfall, some storm on the east of your country. Yeah? Okay. And for the next data that this is the real time from the radar station, and another one that before we use the satellite data. Now we apply the radar rainfall for the more accurate and for the scope in local area. More scope in local area. This is Nan province. Now they do not have rainfall or heavy rainfall in cover that area. Okay, and another one, we have the information from National Hydroinformatics Data Center in Thailand. We can create the station. Okay, this is the real time of the water station in Thailand, and the Nan province. They do not have water level in the Nan River in low level, and the high level is red, represented by red color from the station. And now we have low level of water in Nan River, represented by the pink. Represented by the blue color in Nan province. We have so much the water level in the west near the Tak province, that we have the storm covering this area that I mentioned to before. Okay, this is the real-time station, water station in Thailand. Okay, and for the last one, all of data is useful for early warning in focus area or Nan province, and they understand and they monitoring and they provide data by communicate data by the live group of the working group people in Nan province that we set up under the project. Okay, and for the real time, if we have those areas useful for the early warning and monitoring, and this area useful for the enduring hazards, or when we have the flooding occur in area. Okay, this is okay, and the monitoring the water level in real time. Okay. Okay, this is the statistic of what water level. Sorry. Why? Okay. Okay. I can switch in the monitor water. Okay, this is from the Silikit Dam information. We can see and we can monitoring the water level in station of Nan River Basin. Okay, that is okay. This is the water level in the real time at the water station, and we can see and we can monitoring, okay, the water level. If they have the water level over the red line, that is mean the flooding in that area also. We can monitoring this data by the digital platform in the office, and we can monitoring and we can communicate to working group in the real size to manage to the prevention to the preparedness before that that they have the flooding. Okay, and we have several data now in the digital platform, and the platform in our project we just combine or we just manage the data in useful for the early warning and monitoring of the flood in Nan River, and for the enduring disaster also. Okay. Okay, this is the example for my research project that I would like to share for you. And the last one, this is I can create the platform to monitoring PM 2.5 from satellite data. Also, this is applied from our research to create the algorithm, extract the aerosol PM 2.5 from the satellite data to be in the air pollution index with the Geoinformatics. This is our research. You can see that this is the left picture. You can see the cloud or maybe the smoke cover in the area at that time, and we can create data from centralized data to be air pollution, air quality index. This I convert the. You can see that the green and the yellow do not have PM 2.5, and for the orange and red we have more the concentration of PM 2.5 at the same time. You can see that. Okay, we can create and we can monitoring the PM 2.5 concentration in every day, and we communicate this data to the working group also in every province to monitoring, to concern. And for at the same time, this is the 15 February of this year, for the 15, the date of 15, you can see we have so much of hotspot, active hotspot from satellite data cover in Cambodia and north and the west of Thailand also. And they have, for the Cambodia, they have over concentration also in the lake. You can see. And we can compare the past also. This is 28 January of this day of this year, and for the last year and for the last 2 years, we can compare the situation and find out the cause why they have the situation here, because you can see that this year is have so much of the concentration of PM 2.5 more than in three years ago. Okay. And this is the platform. We create the platform in public on the internet. You can connect by the AQMRS. This means the Air Quality Monitoring Report System with the satellite. Okay. You can see the PM 2.5 concentration by satellite image on the website. Okay. In every day. Okay. And we can monitoring fire hotspot. The fire hotspot is the main cause of PM 2.5 in over of Thailand, Cambodia, Myanmar, and Laos also in Southeast Asia. Okay. And we can monitoring and publish fire hotspot also, okay, on the website also. Okay. Okay. This is we apply to the monitoring with the UAV platform also. That before that I mentioned, we apply from the satellite data to monitoring fire forest, and for this one we apply the new platform. Okay, you can see that this is the real situation of fire forest in northern Thailand. Okay, that is the Darium Qingdao. We have so much in every year of the fire forest, and we can see that from the satellite data. You can see active fire forest, and this is smoke from, and this is 2 days ago. Okay, 2 days later from the 2 days later from the fire forest occur. That make the PM 2.5 concentration over Chiang Mai province. Okay, this have so much of the effect, and we can monitoring by the satellite data. This is applied from the Sentinel 2B, 2A, 2B. You can see that the burn scar of burn area. Okay, and the scar of burning area. Okay, this you can see that the active fire forest from the satellite. Okay, now we apply the UAV to detect fire forest. Okay, we set up the camera and thermal camera to identify. You can see that identify the fire forest in the real image to be in the thermal image. Okay, and this is the fire forest have so much in northern Thailand. Now we just go into the fire forest occurred in the real place, and this is the situation of fire forest. You can see this is so harmful and so dangerous. Okay. Okay. This is so fast of the moving in the fire forest in the Machang district. That is the study size of our projects. You can see that. This is a fire, the fast moving, and make smoke so much. This is so dangerous and so large. Okay. Hard to control in the real size. Okay. This is the image compare from the general camera and the left, and this is the light is a thermal camera in the UAV. You can see we can find the fire structure find the real of the location of fire forest, because we can generate the thermal index of the fire forest, and you can see that this is so clear, so more identified from the thermal image. Okay, this is the general camera for the left. You can compare that. Okay, you can see that. Okay, you can compare the general camera. They do not see the original of fire forest, and for the thermal camera we can identify the original of fire forest. So clarity. Okay, you can see that. You can compare. It's very useful for the emergency situation when we use the UAV for the assessment in fire forest in the real place. Okay, we can monitoring in the night time also. This is from thermal camera. Okay, and the night period, night time, and this one you can see that. Okay, in the Dasutepui, you can see that we have so much the line of fire forest, and when we compare the general camera, we do not have the original location of fire forest exactly, and when we look by the thermal camera, you can see that it's okay and useful for the assessment for the fire forest and for the intensity of the fire forest also. Okay. That is our project in apply UAV in the fire forest. Okay, this is I would like to share my experience from the research project in to apply the GI into the pre-disaster and during disaster. Okay, if you have the question maybe or the something to share experience in your country, in your experience also. Anyone, do you have some information to share? Okay, I think it is the last time for this opportunity to present and to share in the topic of geoinformation for the RM.
Hello.
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 Okay, Sukanta.
Hello.
Sorry.
In Sri Lanka.
Yeah. Sukanta. Okay. And you? Okay.
In Sri Lanka,
Yep.
we have not using that satellite image.
Yep.
Not very well. but we can use manual readings and data from our. We are from irrigation department. For that, every day we collecting data, water level, reservoir water level data, collecting from manually. In field, they observe the data and send to us. And in our web, we can.
Are you access that data also?
Spilling.
Sugandha? Oh, okay. Thank you. Okay, it's very good. Okay, and Sawana in Cambodia.
Now we have
Okay,
some trainings.
Okay, Sugandha. Okay. Sorry, is not connecting good in your internet. Sawana. Hello.
Yes.
Hello.
Sorry.
Because internet very weak. That is one. Difficult to listen. That one. Yeah. We in Cambodian also we use the GIS and geofencing for water resource management and flood management and land use
Wow.
and I think very important for the land use in our country, and we also for the water resources management. And now some is when we take from the satellite is the sometimes is very old data, not 2 or 3 years ago. We use drone.
Yep.
Yeah, we do drone and after we use drone and we can survey the topography survey or we can use anything by drone. Yeah. Drone is very important. We can very important for the survey. Survey which is small area, not I mentioned not big area in the target project. And this one for the dam side or reservoir side, and it is very important that when we take from the satellite, it sometimes is old data, maybe 3-5 years ago. I think we use drone in our country. In my department also use the drone when we want to study the specific area that is one for any area or for any function that is land use planning or many thing of this application. That is one we use drone. I would like to inform you that this one in our country.
Okay, thank you. So the land use planning is so essential for the DRM also, no?
Connection now.
Okay. And for I would like to inform you, and for this year we have the La Nina effect. That means the flooding year, different from our 2 or 3 years that we have the drought, because we have effect from the El Nino effect. Now just we come to be the La Nina effect in Thai, in Cambodia, in Laos, in Vietnam also we have so much of the rainfall. Okay. And maybe we have so much of the flooding also. You can prepare this, and we can prepare this. Okay, for the flooding. Okay, Aluna, you can share your information for the disaster and GI in your country. Maybe you can something. Okay, Aruna here. No, Nathan. For in Philippines.
Can you hear me?
Oh, sorry, Aruna. Okay, and you first. Okay, you can. You have some detail to share for your experience in disaster and geoinformation application or something like that. Okay, and
as Tulilinga told, in Sri Lanka, we have manual station around the country, and now currently we are progressing to the automatic rain gauges also. We have established several automatic rain gauges, not only rain gauges, river gauges, and rain gauges. Actually, rain gauges from the meteorology department, automatic one, and automatic river gauges from the irrigation department. And we are now currently progressing to this real-time data. Before that, actually, we have some manual data. We still we are practicing that one, and also the some department and the disaster management center and some other NBRO, they are using satellite data to analyze the disaster situation.
Okay.
So not like Thailand, we are currently moving to that technology. We are currently grabbing that, absorb that technology to Sri Lanka.
Oh, thank you very much. Okay. Tumai in Samoa, you have experience?
Good evening. Sir. Sorry, just having a little problem with connection. Could you please repeat the questions?
Yeah. Okay, thank you. It's Nathan in Philippines.
Yes, sir.
Okay, you have some detail. Okay.
Yes, sir. Here in the Philippines, one of the universities in collaboration with a government agency, they utilize LiDAR. I don't know if you've heard of it, the light detection and ranging. So it's basically used to obtain data, which aims to produce three-dimensional flood and hazard maps for Philippine river system. So yeah, that's basically what they do.
Okay, thank you for your information of all. Okay, I think it is just the finish of my experience or my presentation for today. Nice to meet you all. Okay, see you the next time.
Thank you so much, sir, for today.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you everyone for your attention. Thank you everyone.
Bye. Thank you.